Abonon song Bimama Kwaba Eba News Kasiebo Ewo GBC News Ena GTV so meeting the Michelin Taka my name
Nichi Rama Mahmoud Jawado inda zakusa memu kumata ya narigizo Ghana Broadcasting Corporation sannan kuma muna tare da Jonathan Intim wanda zai fasara mana da yaren bebanci.
Afe news no naposu eni acknowledging the achievements of women in different fields across the world with the hashtag Break the Bias.
A forum to step up the cause to support good governance, democracy and human rights.
Nigerian women protest against federal parliament's rejection of 5 bills to promote gender equality. Now the news in detail. The First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, has expressed concerns about how the movement for gender equality, inclusiveness, and removal of biases have been a long-standing struggle. She said, although there has been a lot of education, gender disparity still lurks around. Speaking at the 2022 International Women's Day at Kumasi in the Shanti region, the First Lady stated that women are still lagging behind when it comes to the political front in particular.
The Constitution guarantees gender inequality, yet women still indirectly or directly face gender inequality through stereotypes and social practices. Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo urged the younger generation to take the baton as it was being handed over to lead the cause for breaking the biases, with assurance to support with resources, time and intellect from years of expertise.
Now, roping in more young women into technical vocational education and training was the focus of the 2022 Women in TVET conference. It was a platform to inspire many young people, especially women, to consider pursuing TVET skills themselves and to set up businesses with skills at the heart.
A Deputy Minister for Education, Mrs. Gifty Chum Ampofo, said businesses are driving digital inclusion and closing the skills gap, and young people must take advantage of TVET.
Recently, women across the world faced professional and occupational limitations. This included unequal educational opportunities and not having access to the full scope of technical vocational education training, TVET qualifications, such as engineering, welding or motor mechanics. Aside from prevailing gender stereotypes, cultural and traditional barriers, the way TVET systems are generally operated are often not conducive to women's participation. The Women in TVET conference is to change this and reshape the perception of TVET in the country. It also aims at showcasing female TVET trainees, graduates, as well as successful women in TVET business, and to encourage women to venture into TVET. The Director General of the Commission for Technical Vocational Education Training, TVET, Dr. Fred Chea Samoa, said TVET is undergoing transformation and is an avenue for skills development, especially for young women.
We are encouraging especially the women to opt for TVET, and most importantly, the male-dominated TVET areas. We have more than 50% women in Ghana, and we hope we could have same in TVET.
The country director of GIZ, Ms. Regina Barbosa, promised continuous support from Germany in the training of women in TVET.
Actively embedded in this support has been the need to ensure that women are encouraged and persuaded to take up the challenge of participating in the so-called male-dominated trades within the TVET sector in the country.
A Deputy Minister for Education in charge of TVET, Mrs. Gifty Chum Ampofo, said government has prioritized TVET education because it can help develop the country's human capital.
One major benefit of this mobilization of our TVET is to ensure that it becomes globally competitive.
The Women in TVET conference was christened Challenging Gender Stereotypes in TVET in Ghana.
Raising high the global social, economic, cultural and political achievements of women, the call to nurses and midwives was to lead the advocacy for women's health in the country. At an event commemorating the day in Accra, the chairperson of the Governing Council of Star Ghana, Dr. Esther Ofeya-Boaje, said universal health care will remain out of reach if women still face barriers in accessing health care.
Nursing and midwifery are often portrayed as a female-dominated profession. Their services are a must to help achieve Sustainable Development Goal 3, which is about ensuring healthy lives and promoting well-being for all at all ages. In spite of the critical role nurses and midwives play in national development, they are not insulated from challenges women in other professions face in the workplace. Some are victims of verbal, sexual, psychological, and physical abuse. To join the global celebration of women, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association held an event to discuss how nurses and midwives can be empowered to bridge the gap that confronts them in their line of duty. The president of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, Mrs. Perpetual Ofori-Ampofo, said it is not encouraging that most of the top positions in the association, which has a large female membership, is occupied by males.
We've been calling for the stoppage of certificate programs, the need to have the entry level as degree. Are we being heard? Is it because majority of us are women and we are talking? But we can't stop. These are some of the things that we all need to stand up for so that we can put the profession where it needs to be.
A former Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Mrs. Cynthia Morrison, congratulated nurses and midwives for professionally supporting disease control, prevention and eradication in the country. The chairperson of the Governing Council of Star Ghana, Dr. Esther Ofeya-Boaje, said women are confronted with a lot of challenges in accessing health care, and it is time for nurses and midwives to respond to these challenges.
We need your advocacy in some of the following areas. For instance, maternal health and newborn services linked to the availability of CHIPS facilities. In the promotion of sexual and reproductive health, we want careful attention paid to the case of persons with disabilities. Mental health issues, we want you to help us to advocate to pay attention to the concerns of women.
The event was celebrated with the theme, Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow in the nursing and midwifery professions. The Assembly member for the Legon electoral area, Madam Grace Achampon, is advocating for more women to be entrusted with higher responsibilities, especially in governance. For her, it is the most effective way to drive inclusive growth and reduce poverty. GBC News caught up with Madam Grace Achampon in her electoral area at the University of Ghana campus. She spoke to our reporter, Gifty Ajay.
More than over 20,000 students and workers on the University of Ghana campus constitute the Legon electoral area. For the past 3 years, Madam Grace Achampon has been representing the electoral area as the Assembly member. On a regular basis, she visits her electorate to explain policies of the government and also receive concerns and suggestions. Today, for instance, Amina Usman, a trader at the Legon night market, is not happy about increment in a fee she pays to authorities of the University of Ghana for a space she occupies at the market. But serving as an assemblywoman, according to Madam Gracie Champon, can sometimes be challenging, especially when the necessary funding and support is limited.
It is not easy at all to be an assemblywoman. It's like an MP, because anytime they are on you. If somebody is sick, they will call you. Okay. If somebody needs school fees, they will call you. If it's hospital bill, they will call you. So it's not easy, but by His grace, we are managing.
But beyond working in her electoral area, her greatest countries in Africa, which is still grappling with low numbers of women in the district assembly concept, as well as in politics generally. Madam Gracie Champon cited illiteracy, lack of confidence and stigma as some of the factors.
In this country, the reason why people always cheat people, those kind of, because people don't know their rights. They don't know what is going on within the government. They don't know what is going on within the country. So somebody will just come because he knows, he thinks he can bully you. Me, you can't bully me.
She encouraged women with the passion to serve to build their capacities towards such ambitions.
As the world is celebrating the International Women's Day today, the global theme is gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. Calls are that women should repackage ourselves in order to take advantage of challenging positions in society. Reporting for GBC News, Gifty AJ, University of Ghana, Accra.
Recognizing the important role women play in society, a cross-section of Ghanaians has congratulated women for their efforts as the world celebrates this year's International Women's Day.
Women actually play a major role in our life, especially in our political world today. Since we are all calling for equality, and equity for women to play a major role in a high institution, society, I believe they are doing great. And so it is time that the youths will come together, especially our men in the society, to give women the chance to exhibit their talents and do very well for us.
As we celebrate International Women's Day this year, I would urge all of us to celebrate the differences we have amongst ourselves. So, are you a fashion designer? Do you sell at the markets? Do you have a tabletop business? Are you in the home taking care of your children as a housewife? Let's respect each other and value what we do. I wish you a very beautiful International Women's Day. Let's break the bias. God bless.
Rural women play a critical role in the socioeconomic development of their communities. However, various studies have shown that women, particularly those in rural communities, are often left out in the decision-making process. As the world marks International Women's Day, Share Network Ghana and its collaborating partners are calling for an end to all forms of discrimination against women. Speaking at a forum to mark International Women's Day at Salangpang, the coordinator for Share, Edie Zakaria, emphasized the need to support women to achieve their full potential. Correspondent Murtala Isa has more in this report.
We are in Salangpam, one of the rural communities in the Mion district of the northern region. This is where civil society organizations are celebrating International Women's Day in the northern region. The women here produce shea butter. They pick the nuts, they process it, but there are concerns that they do not derive the full economic benefit of that chain. And civil society organizations, including NORSAC, are calling for a fairer representation of women along this chain to enable them get more out of their endeavors. Hajia Hafsase Sumani is the programs manager at NORSAC.
We feel that the indigenous woman in the community should be celebrated Reason being that they engage in a lot of economic activities. However, their recognition is not much appreciated. Salankpa is one of the communities where we have women engaged in share production, and so we see these women pick the nuts, process it, but however we ask ourselves the question, how do they sell these butter? And we mostly find middlemen, mostly they are men, who actually ensure that they send their product out there to the market. These women are not directly involved in that, and so it's a concern, and that is one reason why the We Act project is in this community, to ensure that the value chain is felt by the women and they are engaged directly in this production, so that they would also appreciate whatever they have done to improve their economic lives.
Beyond shea butter production, there are equally very important areas that women are not given enough opportunities here in the northern region. For example, politically, you will find very few women represented at the district chief executive position across the northern region. In terms of even members of parliament, there are very few of them, and politically, generally, women are not fairly represented. And as the world marks International Women's Day, there are calls from all over the place. Civil society organizations, the National Commission for Civic Education are all calling for equal opportunities for women. From Salankpam in the northern region, Mutala Issa for GBC News.
At the celebration of International Women's Day in the Takwa Nswaye municipality, Ladies in Mining and Allied Professions, Ghana, has resolved to help build the capacities of women to be able to make the desired impact in society through various initiatives such as role modeling and mentoring.
Ladies in Mining and Allied Professions Ghana, in collaboration with the University of Mines and Technology, UMAT, organized a forum in Takwa as part of activities marking International Women's Day on the theme Break the Bias, to drum home the need for women to be given equal opportunities in all spheres without being discriminated against. Activities for the day included panel discussions, cultural display, spoken word, and the launch of the Students' Chapter of Ladies in Mining and Allied Professions Ghana. Speaking to GBC News, the Pro-Vice-Chancellor of UMAT, Professor Grace Ofori-Sapong, who is also the president of the Ladies in Mining and Allied Professions Ghana, said the focus is to motivate the younger generation of ladies to break all forms of artificial barriers, inhibiting their development and equal participation in decision-making processes.
We are looking at break the bias. So if we want women to go far, then we have to break the bias. There shouldn't be anything like this is the men's world. There shouldn't be anything like women cannot do that. Give women the chance to also explore.
In a related development, a Durbar was held at Abekwase, a farming community near Takwa, by the Takwa Mine of Goldfields, Ghana, to educate young girls, women, and the larger community on the need for girls to be allowed to pursue their education to the highest level. The Vice President of Sustainable Development of Goldfields, Dr. Celestina Alote, encouraged individuals and institutions to give women the opportunity to excel in their field of work.
We are saying that we want people to take the notion out of their heads that women are limited. Open it up. Let's give women the opportunity, and I promise you, we will excel and we will make them proud.
The Queen Mother of the Apinto Divisional Area, Nana Abena Bwedua, encouraged women to be bold and aspire beyond their limits.
The agenda is to break the barrier and also change the narrative that women go beyond what is deemed as traditional roles. As the world marks International Women's Day, our reporter Sioko Kwakuchere shares the story of some Ghanaian women in the informal sector eking out a living to fend for their families.
To earn a decent living to support their families, Ghanaian women engage in different occupations and professions, even those deemed as the preserve of men. Their daily struggle to just keep body and soul together and fend for their families is commendable. On this bumpy road in the Yilokrobo district of the Eastern Region, this truck filled with farm produce makes it to a nearby market center. Women traders occupy front seats and even sit on the food items in the bucket of the truck. At the market centers, traders, mostly women, display their items on tabletops or on the bare ground under the scorching sun, with some carrying their babies on their backs. The bottom line is they must earn some money to cater for their families. Others' interest lies in catering, just like Madame Grace Vida Etterson, popularly known as Ogre, who sells cooked bambara beans and plantain fritters, a delicacy known by most as aboboy and tatale. This has been her beat for the past 42 years, and it is the proceeds from the sale of the food that she used to support her husband to take their children through school. One wonders why a female may venture into block manufacturing, an occupation which needs a lot of brawn and endurance. But for 40-year-old mother of one, Olivia Dobu, she never regrets her decision of becoming a block manufacturer some 10 years ago and won't trade this job for anything. She says this job puts food on her table. "23-year-old Alberta Yodu and 33-year-old Stella Equia Ansasari are both auto sprayers. They have ventured into what is perceived as a male-dominated area. There is no doubt they exude great zeal and passion for what they do. For them, it is worth the pain as they get their daily meals from the proceeds made. From all indications, there is no doubt that these ladies love what they do and have defied all odds to attain their goals." Suyukuo Kwakutre, GBC News, Accra.
You're watching News Hour live on GBC News, your news and governance channel. Measures to address instability within the African continent took center stage at the 82nd Annual Conference of the African Branch of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, CPA, in Accra. Legislators from the region also discussed the future of the association while seeking reforms from the House of Commons of the British Parliament.
The dynamics of global politics, we are very certain that the United Kingdom in particular must take full advantage of post-Brexit to strengthen its relationship with Commonwealth countries for purposes of trade and investment and for purposes of deepening our democratic values and ethos. We are collectively united in seeking reforms of the CPA at the international level, particularly within the British House of Commons, that the leadership is so committed to.
African countries need, as a matter of urgency, to promote diversified growth and job creation with a focus on youth, women, and the poor in marginalized areas. Stringent efforts must be made in a structured manner to increase domestic revenue mobilization and improve the quality of public expenditures and the strengthening of debt management.
The common values we share as African Commonwealth members cast a special obligation upon us to take the lead and show the rest of the world the way forward. This obligation is unique to us, not only because of the common values and principles we all share as Commonwealth members.
I urge this committee to continue to champion the resolution of constitutional issues facing the CPA, including in particular the key issue of its status as a charity organization. It is my conviction that the resolution of this matter will pave the way for more flexibility in raising the necessary revenue resources to run the affairs of this group.
This is the 35th World Exhibition since the inception of the Trade and Exhibition Platform. The platform
The President, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, has presented Ghana's various attractive investment and trade opportunities to the investor community at the ongoing Dubai Expo. Among them is the stable democratic environment, conducive investment and trade climate, abundant natural and human capital, and numerous opportunities such as one district, one factory, Continental Free Trade Area office in Accra, which opens up the African continent to businesses operating from Ghana.
Fifth World Exhibition since the inception of the Trade and Exhibition Platform. The platform affords participating countries to sell off their investments, network and explore other opportunities in other countries. It is the first world exhibition in the Middle East, and it is under the theme, Connecting Minds, Creating the Future. The 170 participating countries at the exhibition will present their ideas, innovations and technologies to the rest of the world. At the core of President Akufo-Addo's presentation to the investor community during the Ghana Day was to present stable democratic environment, the conducive investment opportunities and various attractive initiatives rolled out by the government. He said the presence of the Continental Free Trade Office in Accra makes the country a preferred investment destination.
It is an exciting time for us, and we welcome you to join us in this journey. We are determined to deepen the already warm relations that exist between our two countries.
President Akufo-Addo stressed that Ghana is ready for business, noting that government is determined to build a business-friendly economy that will enable Ghana to get to the stage where the exploitation of the opportunities that are available will help her build an optimistic, self-confident and prosperous nation.
To ana shan waɗannan labaran ne daga GBC News, GTV sai kuma akan Facebook za a same mu a Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Sai a ɗan dakace mu za mu kawo muku ciniki da masana'antu.
Good evening and happy International Women's Day to all beautiful, hardworking women across the world. This is Business, brought to you by MTN and Quick Credit. In our very first story, COVID-19 has rolled back women's active participation in the global economy. Second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Mrs. Elsie Awaji, believes technology can be leveraged to leapfrog women into accessing financial digital services and enable them to harness their economic potentials.
Mastercard Index in 2019 shows that Ghana's private sector is dominated by women entrepreneurs, which is second in the world after Uganda, yet they trail the men when it comes to account ownership and mobile money transactions. A development the United Nations Capital Development Fund describes as unfortunate and calls for action.
This UNCDF has made gender equality central to its work to unlock private finance, putting women at the center of its new 22-25 strategic framework.
Ghana will need about $50 billion if she wants to achieve the SDGs by 2030. But women seem to be lagging behind when it comes to access to finance.
Women haven't found their true place in this country. There is much being done, but there is much more to be done.
The second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Mrs. Elsie Awaji, said digital financial services must be readily available, designed with women in mind, and affordable. She added that beyond the social costs excluding women from the digital economy on the global stage, there are some women like Abiba, a 21-year-old lady from Boku in the Upper East region, who are taking small steps, which in the long run will have a giant impact on the global economy.
Abiba has acquired critical digital skills, website development, social media use, and above all, in the course of the 6-week program, got access to mentoring and coaching from seasoned women in corporate Ghana. She's still working as a house help. But Abiba has been transformed into a digitally literate young lady. Her older sister, who's a dressmaker, also learns how to use social media to show off her designs around the world on Instagram, and is suddenly getting hits from all around the world and getting orders.
The World Bank say opportunities still exist for women in Africa to harness their potential, but with access to affordable internet and financial literacy, the benefit from the AFCTA will trickle down to all on the continent. Edward Nyakun, reporting for GBC News.
Meanwhile, the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union has called for a halt in the discrimination and exploitation of women at the workplace. Marking the International Women's Day in Accra, the head of Gender and Youth Desk of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, Madam Esinam Poku, called on women to raise awareness against gender biases against women at all stages of work.
The Mastercard Index of Women's Entrepreneurship indicates that women in Ghana make up 46.4% of all business owners in the country. In marking the International Women's Day, the head of the Gender and Youth Desk of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, Madam Esinam Poku, called for women to be given an equal playing field in the world of work.
What I want to say to all working women today is to continue to press on for inclusivity, whilst we try to break the bias against us. Convention 190 and its recommendation 206 are the recent international standards adopted by ILO. So today, I want to urge the Labour Minister together with the Gender Minister to work in rectifying the conventions.
The National Women Chairperson of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, Madam Happy Ahetu, said the increased presence of women in trade union membership has not translated into a substantive change in terms of gender equality at the workplace.
As we celebrate the day today, we want to congratulate all women at the various workplaces that they should not relent on their efforts. They should press forward and break the bias.
This narrative, she said, should change in the near future.
It's still Business Live on GBC News. Now, the German government, through its Invest for Jobs initiative, is targeting to create 10,000 decent Ghanaian jobs in the next 3 years. To this end, 20 entrepreneurs from the fashion and textile industry have successfully completed the first phase of a productivity enhancement training in Accra. They are expected to expand and employ more. This is the first leg of the capacity building drive. The 20 beneficiary SMEs, including 40 others from previous trainings, will this year have the chance to travel to Germany to complete the final phase of the exchange program. In all, 3 cohorts with 20 SMEs each from agribusiness, furniture and wood industry, as well as fashion and textile industry, have been taken through 2 weeks of the Ghana-German SME exchange and training program. Invest for Jobs, a program funded by the German government and implemented by GIZ since last year, has been training entrepreneurs from various sectors in different SME spaces to help them expand to create more jobs. Speaking at the closing ceremony of the training in Accra, team leader for Invest for Jobs, Mr. John Duty, said his outfit hopes to leverage the success story of the program to secure more funding from the German government to train additional entrepreneurs.
The funds that we have, we can do this 60 for now, but we hope that if we're able to demonstrate that this 60 group of entrepreneurs who come back and be able to create jobs, then we can make a case for more funding from the German government. I'm John Duty. I'm the team leader for the program Invest for Jobs.
German-based Cognos International executed a training. Head of Operations, Mr. Timotekos, was impressed about the results that far. Some beneficiaries of the training have been speaking to GBC News.
Yes, from this training we've realized that teamwork is everything, and we need to build teams. We need to be able to help other people to be able to get to the levels that we will be able to help the country. So it's an empowerment for us. It's a place for us to also be able to be impacted and also impact people for the future.
The private sector is the backbone of the Ghanaian economy. It represents about 85% of businesses and contribute about 70% to Ghana's GDP. The German government therefore deems it imperative that SMEs are supported to grow and expand their frontiers by joining international markets. We go to the interbank forex market, where the dollar is now selling at 7 cedis. The pound sterling is going for 9 cedis 26 pesos, and the euro going for 7 cedis 64 pesos. We also see the price of oil increasing on the international market. To bring you updates. Business brought to you by MTN and Quick Credits. The energy news is after this break. Stay with us.
Hello, good evening. This is the energy segment. My name is Mabel Anna. Crude oil prices are soaring, with Brent crude breaking $130 a barrel over the weekend as United States and Europe discuss banning Russian oil imports. According to some industry players, oil sanctions on Russia may not be in the interest of the world's economy. Speaking to GBC News, energy analyst Dr. Yusuf Suleimana suggested that the U.S. shale oil is the only option to deal with the price hike if Russia is sanctioned.
Prices retreated after having hit more than $130 per barrel on Sunday evening as markets panicked over a possible embargo on Russian crude oil. The U.S. and its European allies are considering a ban on Russian oil imports in the latest attempt to punish Moscow for its incursion in Ukraine. Europe is heavily dependent on Russian gas and a bit less dependent on its crude. But according to sources, European governments are now demonstrating their willingness to sanction crude oil import from Russia. At the same time, U.S. Congress is working on its own set of sanctions targeting Russian oil, even though the U.S. imports roughly 200,000 barrels of oil per day of Russian crude and about 500,000 in refined product that may be difficult to replace because of sanctions against Venezuela and Iran. Analysts are warning that a ban on Russian oil would push prices even higher. Energy analyst Dr. Yusuf Suleimana spoke with GBC News.
If Iranian nuclear deal should come to fruition and Iran is able to probably export some oil formally into the global market, itself is a sentiment that can rain some kind of cooling effect onto the market. Number two is shale patch. If shale patch can come back to churn out a lot of barrels into the market, and they can do that. They've done that before. We shouldn't be mistaken about that.
Dr. Suleimana highlighted some measures Ghana can take to mitigate the impact on petroleum consumers in the country.
There are clearly some strategies that we can undertake. Key among them will be to ensure that we are able to link out our upstream and downstream. I've mentioned this several times. So that, of course, if oil prices are going up, upstream is at the beneficial side or it will benefit from that, but of course downstream will burn, like what is happening now. The second option, I think, is also having a robust, buoyant, and very efficient refining capability locally. I think if you do that, what it will do is that some of these ones, if you have a local refinery, it's a stabilizer.
The Chief Executive of the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, Dr. Mustafa Abdul Hamid, has encouraged petroleum investors in the United Arab Emirates, UAE, to take advantage of Ghana's favorable petroleum sector and invest in the country. Dr. Abdul Hamid was speaking at the Energy Investment Forum organized by the Energy Ministry as part of the Investment Expo in Dubai.
The chief executive of NPA, Dr. Abdul Hamid, mentioned oil jetties, pipelines and distribution infrastructure, refineries and gas processing plants, storage and loading gantries as areas the investors can venture into. He stated that restrictions on the establishment and operations of facilities and importation of petroleum products have been removed after the authority was established. He said Ghana's unique geographical position along the coast of West Africa, democratic stability and security require that it provides leadership in building an integrated infrastructure to serve the sub-regional petroleum industry. The Petroleum Hub Development Corporation Chief Executive, Mr. Charles Owusu, said government would provide both economic and regulatory incentives to investors, such as corporate tax exemptions and waivers.
Health News is up next. My name is Mabel Anna.
Welcome to the health segment brought to you by Lufat. Pediatric oncology care outcomes in the country has now improved following the renovation of the pediatric oncology unit of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Funding for the renovation was provided for by the UK-based Ghana International Bank Foundation, chaired by the member of the British House of Lords, Lord Paul Boateng. Inaugurating the facility together with his wife, Lady Janet Boateng, and the trustees of the bank, Lord Paul Boateng assured the management of the hospital of his commitment to the survival of children diagnosed with cancer. A report by Sarah Fori.
Their visit to the pediatric oncology unit 2 years ago drew them to tears. The unit then was in dire need for renovations to provide better services for children diagnosed of cancers. Today, the unit can boast of a 24-bed capacity spacious unit in addition to the existing daycare unit. The delegation toured the unit and interacted with the patients and medical staff. To accommodate the increasing number of patients, every available space is occupied. Prior to inaugurating the renovated facility, the patients presented a plaque to Lord Paul Boateng and his wife Janet for lending a helping hand to them. In addition to renovating the wards, the washrooms and staff room were also renovated. The head of Pediatric Oncology Unit, Professor Lorna Rina, said the facility will further improve the outcomes of care given patients and further appealed for support to expand the unit.
You came, you saw, you acted, and we are we want to say a very big thank you. You have really made a difference.
It's going to be really child-friendly and also infection prevention. We'll be able to control infections, and that will go a long way to improving the outcomes of children.
What this does is also sets an example. It's like a pattern that others should follow. Worthy example. You don't live in Ghana, none of your children lives in Ghana, but then when you came, you haven't forgotten your roots and you felt that you needed to do something.
They expressed satisfaction with work done and commended management for maximizing the funds received.
We did shed a tear when we visited the department on the last occasion. But today our tears are tears of joy at what has been achieved, and achieved in very challenging circumstances. The clinical oncology staff and the staff of Kolebu deserve our thanks and appreciation, not just for the work they have done to ensure that the money donated by the Ghana International Bank has been put to good effect. Not just for that, it clearly has been used very well, as our surroundings demonstrate, but also for the fact that at the height of the global COVID pandemic, they managed to treat more children suffering from cancers in the last year than at any time in the history of the unit. That's a huge achievement.
Earlier, Lord Paul Boateng and his team met with some members of the management of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, where he commended the doctors for their dedication to deliver clinical care despite their challenges. The couple further expressed their commitment to facilitate specialist training to bridge the skills gap. Sarah for GBC News, Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Accra.
The international news is next.